Hi, I'm Kara Gueth. Welcome to this free training session on upping student engagement. I am doing this live in replay, so if you're watching in replay, you won't be able to connect in the chat, but feel free to email any questions that you have. My email address will be on the next slide here. So I am a full-time special education teacher still, and I also run a side business called Gueth Goodies for Education, where I help teachers save time without sacrificing effectiveness. So that is my goal with all of my trainings. And who am I and why would you want to listen to me? I am a special education teacher with over 30 years experience. I just finished my 30 and a half year, first half of my 31st year. And I've all that time spent in special education. I've done everything from K to 12. I'm currently doing 7 through 12 in an alternative setting at White's Junior Senior High, where we reach kids in our alternative program who have been expelled or close to being expelled as kind of an alternative to expulsion, or if they have truancy for any reason, but a lot of times due to mental or physical health needs that make attending school regularly difficult for them. And because of COVID, it is entirely online this year, so that's been a new learning curve for me. And I've discovered a lot of ways to help my online kids get a little bit more engaged. In my school, we don't require kids to come to the online sessions, and so it's a bit of a trick sometimes to get them to show up. So I have a few things to share with you that have worked for me. And here's my email and my Twitter handle. If you want to get a hold of me one of those ways, you can. And so what we're going to do today is discuss a little bit about the types of student engagement. Then I'm going to explain how getting students engaged is all about the G's, share some strategies with you, and take questions. And I'm going to do it really quick because we just have about 25 minutes left. So there's 3 types of student engagement, and the first time is compliance. Compliance is a form of engagement, and it's sometimes what we need. It is the level of engagement that we need. If students need to take a quiz, we need them comply and take that quiz. And so if your principal happens to be walking by looking in your windows, they're going to see the students do what you ask them to do. That is compliance engagement. Well, if we up that a bit and call it engagement instead of compliance, now all of the people are participating in the learning. So it doesn't require you just to do the task the teacher said, but you're participating in it. So maybe you're getting up and you're doing motions while you're trying to memorize something, or you are working in a small group, sharing your learning and problem solving together. So it's not just as much as do this, do it, and then do something else, which is compliance. Now engagement is truly happening. And most teachers, until they have some experience under the belt, that's what they shoot for, is engagement. But there's actually an amped up version of engagement that we call student empowerment. And at the empowerment level of engagement, now students have everything they need so that they can create their own learning. And technology really gives us a way to do that for students. So at this level of empowerment, they might need to find out which president had the most policies that were filled out by somebody, or who is the best president, and you're going to have to find ways to support why you think they're the best president. And so you give them the tools of the presidents you want them to look up. You give them some websites or some criteria of how to search for that information on websites. You might take them to the library and have some books for them to look at, or they might watch some videos from some historians who have studied the president. And they use all those tools to create their own learning to come up with what makes a good president or what makes a president the best by what they're able to do. And so that's the difference between compliance, engagement, and empowerment. They're all important. Students need to do all of these at some time during their school career in order to be successful. But we're going to shoot for engagement and what we're talking about today. And unfortunately, oh, sorry, I almost forgot this special part. George Couros is one of my edu heroes, and if you don't know about him, I encourage you to search for his blog. The book he wrote that I love so much is called Innovator's Mindset, and in that book he says, imagine what school would look like if we really focused on empowering learners. it would be a different place. It would be busy all the time. And I know a lot of us are working toward empowering our learners, but sometimes in trying to get through the content, we feel less able to give empowerment. And online, even worse, because they're all in these different environments that we can't control. We don't know what they have or what they have access to. And so sometimes providing more for them is what we tend to go to. And it's okay. We need all those levels of engagement. In online engagement, what I find out this year is that so much of it has to do with just getting them to show up. And so the strategies I'm going to share today are things that are going to help students want to be in your class if they're at school and they don't have a choice to show up, but also help them want to show up online. So teachers will not settle for having reached just the engaged and empowered most of their students. Teachers will strive to reach them all. Yes, even that one. Because that's the truth. We want to reach every one of our students. Teachers aren't known for giving up. And for that, for me, it's all about the G's, and this is how I reach them. The first thing that I do is make sure that I'm forging good relationships with my students. And if you've been an educator for any length of time or studied education at all, you will know that relationships are key. There's this quote that goes around, and I don't even know who to give it to. I've heard it so many times, but they don't care how much you know until they know how much they care. You care. And that becomes more and more important the older kids get. The younger kids seem to pick up quickly on the fact that we care about them, and they also care what we think about them. But as they get older, we have to spend more time helping them understand that we really do care about them, and we want a relationship with them. And then when they build that trust in us, they're going to be more engaged in their learning and learn more. So good relationships are key to me. I struggled at the beginning of this school year to figure out, how am I going to get to know these students in this virtual world where most of them don't turn their camera on ever? They answer a few questions to me in text. How am I going to find a way to really get to know them? So what I came up with was a way to ask them for their daily attendance, a certain engagement question that would help me get to know them. So I have things on here like their favorites, favorite free time activity, favorite Italian food. I always tell them what mine is before they have to tell me. And sometimes I do that in video and sometimes I do it in writing. And they're allowed to do that as well. I simply put this on a Google form for them to fill out every day for attendance, because although our students don't have to show up to our online office hours, they do have to fill out the daily attendance form or they'll be counted absent. So this was my key to getting into them and learning a lot more about them. One of my favorite things I did all year is ask them, what would you like to know about me, your teacher? Of course, I teach older kids, so I had to say, keep it appropriate. But they came up with some really good questions and I made a video for them. And now second semester, I'm going to be asking them to make a video to answer questions that I would like to know about them. And so we'll see how that works out for them. But some of the ones that were really interesting and helped me get to know my kids' personalities, like things like, if you were invisible for a day, what would you do? I didn't get anything from hide under my sister's bed so I could know what she was doing all the time, to go and spy on somebody, to get oh my gosh, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. And I got some really profound answers, like I would want to go to jail and visit my mom because I can't go there as a kid and see his mom as often. So I got some really depth thing on that, and I never even knew that child's mother was in jail. And so that helped me have a little more perspective for what he was dealing with in his life. And so you never know how they're going to answer. I also like, who are the heroes in your life? And then who are you a hero to? Things like that. So I have this whole list of engagement questions that you're able to have access to. And I'm just going to put that link in the chat. And so if you're watching on replay, you're probably going to need to screenshot that so you can blow it up and see it. Or you can email me. It's got a lot of letters and stuff on it. So you can email that to me if you want. Email me, not the link. Email me asking for the link, and I'd be happy to email that back to you. Remember, my email is Kara, Kara, at gwifgoodiesforeducation.com. But this should give you the opportunity to view the form, and then you will have to make a copy for yourself. So back to these G's, because it's all about the G's. Growth mindset is another big G for me. I do not have time today to get into everything regarding growth mindset, but the one thing I want to share is the power of the word yet and how that ties with engagement. So when you're doing a small group, large group, whatever kind of lesson, even if it's one-on-one, and you ask a student a question, and if your students are anything like mine, they want to put IDK or I don't know for anything, and it's so frustrating. So a few years ago, I started requiring students to say, I don't know, but I want to. And so that really helped them get in their heads the idea of, oh, I could still learn this. Just because I don't know it doesn't mean I need to check out, which is what a lot of our kids do. To get them to check back in, we have to make them feel empowered that they are able to learn this. So they say, like, I don't know yet, and they can say yet at the end of it. Or they can say, I don't know, but I want to. I try to get them to put that yet in there because the yet really gives them the advantage of, but I'm going to get it. So then I will ask several other people the question if I'm in group, and then go back to that student once we have a right answer and say, do you know now? If they say, I still don't know yet, we go through the same process again. And so that student knows that they're responsible for learning the material. And because of that, it keeps their brain more engaged in the learning. It really, really is a powerful thing when you start requiring that. Germane lessons. Germane is just a fancy word because I needed something that started with the G that means relevant. So the lessons need to be relevant to our students. And that means that we have a job as teachers to make sure that, and I'm sorry, I'm not showing the right screen. I just realized that. Okay. So it's important for us to be germane in our lessons because our students need to know that we care about them. It's part of that building relationship thing. So if we are talking about Cabbage Patch Kids, because that's what we had when we were kids, or our kids had when they were kids, but these kids don't even know what Cabbage Patch Kids are, they're tuning out. They are completely checked out. Okay, so we need to talk about the Among, weirdest thing I've ever seen, but that's the big thing for junior high right now. Or we need to talk about Justin Bieber when he's popular. I think he's out again now, no, so don't talk about him. But like, you need to keep up with what they're talking about. So if you need to just search what's popular among this age student, do it. I do that once a week because I want to know what my students are talking about. If my students recommend a show to me on Netflix, I try to watch even just a little bit of it so that I can ask them a question. Especially that one, you know, we all have that one who's so hard to read. And you start showing just the slightest bit of interest in something they're interested in, suddenly they're more engaged in learning. I had a student talk to me about this show. I think it's called The 100. I didn't care about it. I didn't want to watch it. But this student did not engage in anything. So I watched one episode, still didn't like it. But I was able to say, so what was this about? And do you know about this? And I'm really glad you like it. It was hard for me to watch. I didn't really understand it. But he lit up, starts talking about everything. And suddenly, now, he looks me in the eye and says hi every day. So those kind of things are very important. That's why we need to keep our lessons germane and not talk about things that are so out of their realm that they don't care about. Sorry if you're the history teacher, like, kind of stuck. But the rest of us can kind of try to put a twist on things and get them more relevant. In global connections, I wish I had enough time today to go into how much I believe in the power of global connections to get students engaged. I don't, but I just want to tell you a couple of stories to help you understand this so that you can start researching it on your own, if nothing else. I had a student who was on the autism spectrum, and he was not engaged with anybody at our school. He was in 7th grade, and unfortunately in our school, people don't change schools a lot. So he had been in the same school system his entire life. And when he was younger, he was a bit out of control. And kids were a little bit afraid of him because of some of his behaviors. As a 7th grader, he wasn't still that way. But his peers still expected him to be that way. He was intelligent and high functioning that way. So I always think sometimes those kids have it harder because people expect more normalcy out of them. But anyway, he felt like he didn't have friends at all. It was really hard for him. And he would sit every lesson, lean back in the chair, totally disengaged. Like, what did he care about anything in the world? But when we connected with some kids in Canada that didn't already know him, he lit up during our connection time. When we were on video chats with those kids in Canada, he was sitting up. He was leaning in. He was leading the discussion. He never did that with his peers. And so the power of connecting with people that don't know the old you can sometimes be very engaging. Also, as kids get older, they don't care so much about what we think about them anymore, but they'll do more quality work if somebody else is going to see it and not just their teacher or their parent. So global connections are super powerful, and I hope you do check out some things like that. In fact, in February, there is a virtual Valentine's activity. And so if you search virtual Valentine's connections or virtual Valentine's Day activities, I'm pretty sure you'll find the resources on that. It's a super easy way to get started with global connecting. So the last G is games, which I've had to add a lot to my repertoire this year to learn how to get these kids engaged in online games that were a safe environment and I could still be a part of with them. And I started using breakout rooms with Google Meet. And so I'll put 2 to 3 kids in a room and they'll play the games together. Or sometimes we play all together, depending on how many show up for the online session. So I'm going to share just a few of my favorite games, or actually my students' favorite games. And so that's why I wanted to show it to you. The first one, it's called Shut the Door, but Clear the Box makes more sense to me. So I'm going to pull it up here. And when you use this link, you'll be prompted right away to make a copy of the game. So I'm going to put this link into the chat. And I think I can share, I'll share this presentation link at the end, and you'll have the links to be able to click these. And then you'll make a copy of the game. And it's done by a teacher named Alice Keeler, shares this with everybody for free. Now, yours won't look like this the first time you open it because you have to approve the add-on that runs the game. So you'll notice up here, I'm not noticing it. There should be a menu that says shut the door. I'm gonna have to make, oh, there it goes. I'll have to make that full screen for a minute. Okay, so it says shut the box. And when you start it over, you click your menu there. And the first time you do this to say add pieces, then you are going to have to allow the scripts because she's not like an approved, it's not an approved add-on from the Google store. So it tells you that you have to authorize it. And so this is now asking me to authorize it. Because I guess I haven't used it in this account. I've only used it in my school account. But once it's authorized, you can use it. So I'm going to clear it. And you keep hitting the shut the box menu. And then I'm going to add pieces. And what pops up are 9 pieces. And you could have this game open in everybody's Google Meet room. It doesn't matter. You can open so many different versions of it. And so you could have 2 playing 1 against 1. You could have teams playing. It doesn't matter. So the object is to clear all of these numbers, or as many as you can. Whatever numbers are left at the end, add up, and that's your score. And you're trying for the highest score, or excuse me, the lowest score win. So then you say you can either roll 2 dice or 1 dice. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. And it tells you what you rolled, and then it pops up in here. Now, I can take a 1, or I can add them 1 and 1 together and take a 2. So I'm going to take the 2. So then I click on this one and delete it. Then I can roll again. And so I'm going to take the 8. These big numbers are sometimes hard to get. So I'm going to delete that 8. Oops. Roll again. Now I have a 3 and a 6. So I can add them together to get rid of the 9. Or I could do the 3 and the 6. I think I'll do the 3 and the 6. And you just keep going like that, playing on the same board. So if you're paired up, the people can take turns doing it. But they play against the people in the other rooms, the breakout rooms that I set up. Or they each play it individually. And when you can't remove anymore, that's when your game is over. And then you add up. So if I couldn't remove any more this time, I would add these numbers up and that would be my total score. And you want the lowest score. So I gave you a copy of that document so you can create your own copy of the game. The next game I want to share with you is one of my favorite online games. Unfortunately, not free. Well, there is a free version. It's $10 a month to get access to the not free version. And my corporation pays for it because it's well worth it. It gives you the safety features that you need to use with your students. You can play the game in a private room, but they have to sign in with emails. It doesn't have that security that you probably want, especially if you could have kids under the age of 13. But on it, we have Battleship, Tic-Tac-Toe, Connect 4, and Gamoku. Gamoku is just Connect 5. I don't know why they come up with this fancy name for it. And so you can play tournaments or just one-on-ones. My kids love to play tournaments. And so we'll start like a Connect 4 tournament, and you can do single or double elimination, and they can just play through, and they're exactly like you play the games anywhere else. Their very favorite is Battleship, because in this Battleship, you don't always have to choose just one spot at a time. You can win bombs that will like blow up a section of like 8 dots and check all those 8 dots for battleships at a time. So they really enjoy the fun and different pieces of that Battleship game. But I'm just going to show you how you set it up and what the differences would be in the version that's paid. I'm on a free account in this one right here. So you can say, you always start with create a tournament, even if it's not always a real tournament. That's what you want to click, is create a tournament. And then you'll get some options. Oh, you have to watch this advertisement. Apparently. What just happened? No, thank you. I just want to go to tournaments. I don't know why it gave me the advertisement. What is up? Why are you waiting? Play now. I'm trying to play. My internet is not appreciating me recording my Google Meet. Okay, that's what I did. I picked one. I wonder if I'm not logged in and so it's not letting me do anything. Oh, it wants me to sign up. No thanks. I need to log in. I don't want to sign up. I want to log in. I don't know why it didn't give me the login. Ugh. Sorry about this. I hate this happens when you're live, but I'll try to sign in my school account. I hope that works. I guess I opened it too early in the day and it locked up on me. There we go. So now it should create a tournament when I say create a tournament. Yep, that's what I want to do. Oh my goodness, no. Okay, make screen whole. Why does this happen always when you're trying to demonstrate something? I did this just yesterday during the webinar. It worked perfectly fine. There we go. That's what I was trying to get to. So when you create a tournament, you choose the game. So I'm choosing Battleship. And then you can name it. So this would be training. You could describe if you want. So the difference between the type of tournaments. Casual is just it randomly pairs people against each other. So everybody's just kind of playing at the same time. And it's just adding up total points to see who's the winner. You also can do round robin where everybody has to play everybody once. Or you can do single elimination tournament. And I'm not sure what Swiss is. We've not tried it. I keep the game speed at 5 minutes. So if nobody wins in 5 minutes, it goes on to the next one. You can have penalty points for if people leave the game. And this happens for those uber competitive kids who will leave the game when they realize they can't win. And so then it penalizes them some points. And then because I have the paid account, I can have that they can play as a guest. They don't have to sign in with their email. And it also removes ads. I can have unlimited participants, and I have a privacy unique link. You can create all of this with a unique link but it's not hidden. So somebody could zap into it if you don't have the paid plan. But it's a good way to try it out. I think it's $10 a month. And then you just create and share the game. And so I won't be able to show you the rest because we don't have time to play. But you would follow this link, and then as people popped in, they would click find player and the game would start. It would just start matching you up. And then the other two games that I want to share with you are both, oh, I want to put that link for you in there, sorry. It's papergames.io. Is that one I just showed you with Connect 4, Battleship, and a few more games. And then there's two different Uno games that I have. The first one is called Piz Uno. Somehow they made it like a pizza, and they have some little bit rules that are a little different than regular Uno, but my kids really like this one. You can play single and multiplayer. It is not a paid account, but you do create a private room, and supposedly people can't get into it without, we've never had anybody crash our room, so I'd say it works pretty good, but I can't guarantee it. You need to make sure it's okay with your school and whatever their privacy policies are. And then the other one is called Uno Freak, and same thing. You create an account, and then you can create rooms, and it's all free, but I can't guarantee that it's safe for you. You'll have to have your administration decide if it's safe for you to do. But we play both of these at my school, and I have never had any problem. And they both just have a little bit different instructions for playing Uno. And so when my kids know that I'm going to start the day with a 10-minute game before we go into helping with academic help, they show up better. Wednesdays is our game day, and I have high attendance, much higher, probably 80% higher attendance on game days than not game days. And then once I get them there for the game, they stick around for the academic help, which is what they need in the first place. So I don't care how I get them there. I just want to get them there. And so the two Uno games are Uno Freak and Piz.Uno. Sounds terrible, but that's what it is. Here, does anybody have any questions for me? Oh, that's the link to the engagement sheet that Shiba. This is the link to the presentation. So if you want to, it might be the engagement questions that I already shared. I think this is the link to the engagement questions, and then one's the link to this presentation. So, whoops, go back. This one will take, the top one will take you to the presentation, and the bottom one will take you to the list of engagement questions that I shared earlier with the different view. So these are easier. If you want to screenshot this, you can use those two. And that will get you a copy of the presentation with all the links. The top one will. Sorry, I'm not showing it because I forgot to share that tab. Somebody has to tell me when I'm a ding-dong and forget to do that. Until I finally notice. So the top one here will get you, I believe, the presentation. And the bottom one will get you the engagement question list. One or the other. So if you want to screenshot that, then you'll have that for later. And then we are about done with this. I have 10 minutes to the next session. I will be back in a few.